And away we go. Good evening and welcome to Defensible Risk. This is where we do our cybersecurity talk show Wednesday evenings. And I am super excited that you are all here. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dan, and I am looking forward to talking about what we're going to talk about. We've got a special topic for this evening, and I think it's going to be pretty darn good. So we'll get to that in just a second, but let me hit this sting. We are at Defensible Risk on Twitter, DefensibleRisk@protonmail.com if you'd like to email me securely. I've helpfully placed those right below my smiling face. DefensibleRisk.com for an archive of our technical and cybersecurity related content, which will include this show. As of tomorrow evening, Twitch does have 24-hour exclusivity to this content. So after that 24-hour embargo is up, it will be posted at DefensibleRisk.com. And if you're watching anywhere else, it is twitch.tv/DefensibleRisk. I don't think anything else hosts this particular show, but sometimes in the mornings there will be a couple of other websites that'll hold it. So yes, if you're new to the channel, in the mornings we do a workout show 5 days a week, and then once a week we get together and talk about cybersecurity. And then occasionally on Saturdays and sometimes Sundays, just depends, we do some other stuff, technology related, that is a lot of fun. We call that show Disconnected, and it's not connected to the cybersecurity stuff we do. It's not connected to the workout stuff we do. So we call it, well, Disconnected. Shockingly, right? So with that, I think we're just about ready to get into it. I need always minor adjustments. Always minor adjustments, right? Lots of little things we can do to do better. So I'm very excited about tonight's content. We're getting into, at least in the U.S., if you're outside the U.S., it may be a little different for you, but within the U.S., we are knee-deep in the political silly season. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but it's been crazy out there. We're ramping up for a presidential election, and I really don't want to get political this evening. That's not my point. My point is to talk to you about the cybersecurity aspect and how it impacts you personally. You may have heard on the news that the Russians are trying to help Bernie Sanders, or the Russians are trying to help Donald Trump, or who knows what's going on. But a lot of that happens through online stuff. Josh is old, coming in with 100 bits. I need to give a shout out or two. Josh, thank you very much appreciated, my friend. Very generous, and yeah, thank you. And then Monkey Bars coming in with the 6-month resubscription. Thank you for that Twitch Prime sub, Monkey Bars, and thank you for staying around for 6 months. You're a rock star, my friend. What can I say? So, where are we at? Oh, political silly season. I'm not telling you who to vote for. We're not even going to get into that, right? I'm not worried about that part. It's the misinformation campaigns that happen, particularly online, and some of the ways that those things are accomplished. So, I've got 2 articles I want to get to. Josh is old. Thank you very much. Thank you for the kind words. And you're green on one screen and gold on another screen. That makes me a little crazy, but it's all good. So, our first article that we're going to discuss this evening is called Cyborgs, Trolls, and Bots, a Guide to Online Misinformation by the Associated Press. It was published on February 8th, 2020. And then to follow along with that, this article is a little bit older, but still super relevant. It's called #BotSpot, 12 Ways to Spot a Bot, Some Tricks to Identify Fake Twitter Accounts. Posted by DFR Lab, and it was actually posted on Medium. And when this does go live on DefensibleRisk.com, I will make sure to include the links to the article so you can check them out for yourself. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to be honest with you. It's fascinating the way things have changed, the way that social media in particular has changed the way that we do political campaigns, has changed the way that we do any kind of campaign or activism, and how those things can be abused. And ideally, well, let me put it this way. Let me read you this last little bit of this second article, and that'll sort of set the tone for what we've got going tonight. Just the last paragraph of this article. What is most important, however, is awareness. Users who can identify bots themselves are less likely to be manipulated by them. They may even be able to report the botnets and have them shut down. Ultimately, bots exist to influence human users. The purpose of this article is to help human users spot the signs. And I thought that was a great summary. That's exactly what I wanted to accomplish this evening. not only make you aware of what's out there and what's happening, but how to spot it, how to avoid being caught up in it. Fair enough? All right. And I do apologize. I think I hear the dogs freaking out. So I'm going to go make sure that they are settled. And it will just take me 30 seconds. Just give me just a second. I know, professional trimmer. I do apologize. That was a little more than I expected. They were pretty wound up, so apologies for that. We'll have to make sure that gets edited a little bit. That's mildly embarrassing there. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for sticking around with us. Yeah. All right, so with that, make sure everything's good. All right, and I seem to have lost. Why have I lost my light? It's just a good night for this. I'm going to fix the light. Stand by. Sometimes the technology loves you, sometimes the technology doesn't love you. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our first article. T-Sci coming in with the 60 bits. Thank you very much, T-Sci. Oh my goodness. Hello, hello, hello. How are you this evening? Hope things are well with you. We're having some technical difficulties this evening because why would it go easy for a computer guy who checks everything ahead of time, right? But it's all good. So we're talking about bots, we're talking about misinformation this evening. So let's go ahead and jump over to our war room. And tonight, we're in the hallowed halls of Congress. We are in the House of Representatives for the United States. And I do not know why that alert didn't fire, but I do appreciate the biddies. Thank you. Not too bad. Technical difficulties, so business as usual. 100%. Yep, very much so. Just is that way. And then dogs on top of everything else. So, and these glasses are filthy. We'll grab another pair. Hopefully these ones are cleaner. I'll be a dollionaire by the time the evening is over. Hey, I'm looking forward to it. I like it. That's a great term. So where we want to start out then is understanding that there are people online who want to intentionally sow discord amongst whatever other group of people that they're reaching out to. If we're talking about politics, sowing discord between the different parties and stirring up controversy, and that's their sole goal, to make one side distrust the other, and they see either way as an absolute win. If you look back at the 2016 elections and the interference from outside parties, particularly the Russians, but also the Chinese, also the North Koreans, also the Iranians, and perhaps some of our allies, though we've never really officially gone on record saying that. There's a number of ways people do this. They start with misinformation and disinformation, two important terms for what we're talking about, and two important distinct terms that we want to make sure we're not crossing over or using them interchangeably. Misinformation is any bad information that's put out on a subject, whether that is health related or politics related or something sensitive like climate change, right? Misinformation. Now the thing about misinformation is it's just wrong. It may be intentionally, but it may be unintentionally wrong. If you were to ask me something about a subject I knew very little about and I gave you some bad information, that would be misinformation. It may not be malicious in its intent. It may not be, well, it's just can be poorly informed. It doesn't have to necessarily be that I'm trying to mislead you. Disinformation, on the other hand, is intentionally putting out bad information so that you will be influenced or perhaps perform an action, vote a certain way, whatever it happens to be, based on bad information that I have provided. Now, I'm one of the good guys. I wouldn't do that to y'all, not intentionally. But I think about sometimes, the workout streams we do here on Defensible Risk. Somebody comes in and asks for some workout advice. If I don't know the answer, I really do try and say, I don't know. I think that's really an important thing. If you don't know something, don't be afraid to say you don't know. But a lot of times people will just say, oh, well, here it is. And they won't even necessarily qualify it with, this is what I think. They'll just go ahead and say, this is it, and act as if it's truth. And it may just be bad information. Disinformation, of course, versus misinformation is saying, this is true, and it's not. To influence somebody, to get them to do something, to mislead them, whatever it happens to be. So those are important distinctives. Because when I ask a friend or family member, GTF, hola, how goes it? It's been a day. It's been a day and a half, and I've been under the desk trying to fix my lights already, so it's definitely going. How are things in Mexico today? Or this evening? I don't even know what part you're in. You don't have to tell us, but yeah. Glad you're here. It's been a minute too. So, if you're watching the news and somebody has bad information and they're putting it out there with no bad intent, it's misinformation. If you're watching the news, let's see. I always recommend getting your news from multiple sources. Don't just listen to voices that you like to hear, but also listen to voices that you may not necessarily agree with. That'll make you a more well-rounded person, in my opinion. I'm just going to say. It might make you angry, it might cause your blood pressure to go up a bit, but do try and get your sources of news from different perspectives, whether that's strictly your Fox News on one side and your CNN or MSNBC on the other side, or if you want to throw some of the other ones in there. RT America is, well, if you don't know, RT stands for Russia Today. That is an interesting perspective on things. If you get the opportunity to watch BBC News or Sky News, they come with a different perspective. If you get a chance, I won't get banned from Twitch, but if you get a chance to watch Al Jazeera, now I've gone on a list, it's worth watching it for that different perspective. So try and get that well-rounded, more complete picture. And you will find both misinformation and disinformation on all of those channels. A lot of times things are, how should we say, oriented to forward a certain perspective or agenda. A lot of times we like to pretend that the news is unbiased, but if you believe that, I've got a bridge in Arizona I'd love to sell you. I think I mixed my metaphors there. a bridge in Brooklyn versus a beachfront property in Arizona. But you get the idea. So be mindful. So it says here, scientists at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology analyzed more than 126,000 stories, some true, some false, that were tweeted millions of times from 2006 through the end of 2016. They found that misleading or incorrect stories traveled 6 times faster and reached more people. How's that for a rough statistic? Not only is there misinformation, but also disinformation being intentionally fed into the news stream, but it moves 6 times faster when it's false, because it must be something that we want to believe, whether it's, like I said, I'm trying not to get too political, but if you listen to the news at all, it always seems to be bad news about the current sitting U.S. president, right? And then we come back a week later and they go, oh, well, maybe that wasn't exactly accurate. The one that comes to mind is that, was it a week and a half ago, there was a leaked report or a leaked portion of a report that said the Russians were trying to help President Trump. Queen Sugar Buns, good evening, how are you? Thanks for being here. This is our exciting cybersecurity stuff that we do on Wednesday evenings, so I'm glad you're here. And we're having a good time. We're talking about information on the internet, and then we're going to follow up with how to spot bots. It's an entertaining way to spend an evening, spotting bots, that is. So they break it down to a couple of different categories of people or sources of misinformation and specifically disinformation. Bots and cyborgs are the first 2 categories. So bots, in its simplest term, is a computer program and that all its job is to do is to take an input, whether that's a fake story or other piece of information. And in this case, we're talking about misinformation and disinformation, and put it back out onto the internet. Not all bots are terrible. In this channel, we have a bot called DefensibleBot. And the bot does things for me here to help with the stream. Those are good bots, right? But a lot of times, particularly on social media, you'll run across bots that are purely intended to provide you with bad information. Again, as we go into this political season, there's a lot of them out there. I've been doing a little bit of amateur research on it, and it's been fascinating to see how that goes together. Now, we also have cyborgs, according to this article, and I kind of like the distinction. So a bot is a computer program that just works and works and works and works. A cyborg is sort of a hybrid where you get a person who sometimes sits in the chair and does things instead of letting the bot program do all of the work. So they may respond to other people, because a bot's not necessarily very good at responding. It's good about putting stuff out, but it's not necessarily good about responding to, let's say, an argument. If a bot puts out something that says the sky is red, and somebody comes back and says, I just looked outside, the sky is blue, the bot doesn't necessarily know what to do with that. But you put a person in there, and so it's a hybrid of a person and a program. So they call these a cyborg. Kind of interesting that they would break that apart, but it makes a lot of sense to do so. So there's a couple of ways, and we won't get into it just yet because I don't want to spoil the next, but it gets into a little bit of how to spot some of those bots, and we will get to that, I promise. But then you have trolls and sock puppets. I love some of the terms that we've come up with over the years, right? So trolls are people who just stir up controversy. I'm sure you've seen it, right? If you've been around Twitch for more than a day, I'm sure you've seen trolls up in Twitch chat. And all they're looking to do is to create controversy, whether it's to bring attention to them or bring negative feelings, let's say, against the streamer. And that's just on Twitch. This happens all over social media. I have yet to find a social media platform that doesn't have somebody out there trying to be a troll. When we're talking about political stuff, then they will go into a left-leaning forum with a right-leaning message, just trying to stir up controversy, or a right-leaning forum with a left-leaning message, or whatever it happens to be, trying to pit people against each other, trying to get people riled up, trying to stir emotions and stir the pot. And then you get sock puppets, and I love sock puppets. So sock puppets The definition here is another account controlled by an individual for the purpose of supporting that individual. The best example that they give was a few years back. I don't know if you remember, Mitt Romney ran for president and was found to have a secret Twitter account under the name Pierre Delecto, which he used to defend himself against criticism. So that's a sock puppet. It is an account controlled by a person. So if I had a Twitter account, I do have a Twitter account, @DefensibleRisk, I got to point the right direction, and you said something that you disagreed with, and that's fine. I'd love the discourse. But if I had a second account that would jump in, and I was actually controlling it as well, to defend me against your criticism, whether fair or unfair, that would be a sock puppet. So I think you get the idea, right? Man, my voice is hoarse tonight. Perfect. So I know if you've been around the internet for more than a few days, some of this is rehashing what you may already be familiar with, and some of it may be new, but it helps us set the stage for making sure that we are not unduly influenced by misinformation or disinformation. Now, the new kid on the block, and I'm sure you've heard about these as well, because they've been in the mainstream news, deep fakes, fake videos. We've had faked images for many, many years. Oh, I should have dug that out. I have a really old issue of Scientific American that I kept because I really liked it. And it showed a picture of President George Herbert Walker Bush, H.W. Bush, Bush 41, and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of England, walking side by side. And they used Photoshop or something equivalent to it, and it made it look like they were holding hands. Completely fake, and they said, yeah, this is a fake picture. You know, they didn't try and claim it as real, but to show what could be done. And so we got to the point where we really struggle to trust images on the internet anymore. Let me tell you a secret. I'm not really in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. That's how, right? So with the magic of green screen here on Twitch, we can fake our location. So even videos anymore are getting more and more difficult to trust. And now with the deep fake trend, using computer learning and a lot of time, and it's getting easier and easier, you can put someone else's face onto another body in a video format. Again, one thing to do it with a still image, but another thing to do it entirely with a video, and then present that video as if it were real. Now there's other ways to do things too. A couple of months ago, a video was released of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and someone had taken the time to slow the audio down, which made it sound like she was slurring her words. Not cool. I don't care if you agree with her or don't agree with her, right? Don't do that to people. That's just not cool. But it is a way to fake a video. So between deep fakes, which present something completely different, to modifying a video to make it sound like somebody may have been drinking. She wasn't drinking at the time. I've seen the original video, and I've seen the fake video because this stuff fascinates me. But being aware that videos and images can be falsified and then put out there as part of a disinformation campaign will help us be, hopefully, more sensitive to those kind of things so that we won't be fooled by them. But there are some really good ones out there. What did I see the other day? I was browsing Reddit and they had, I don't remember what movie they took it from, but they put Robert Downey Jr.'s face into the video, and it was pretty convincing. If I didn't know better, I would be like, he was actually in this movie. And it was, a 15-second clip, something like that. But it was really convincing and kind of terrifying what they can do with computers now as far as editing videos. So be mindful of that if you see anything that you find particularly suspicious. And I hate to say be cynical about everything, but we're going to have to get to that point where we are cynical about everything that comes out, regardless of the source. So those are your faked videos that you need to be on the watch for. Now, there were a couple of things that came along with that. So Facebook announced last month that it would ban deepfake videos. If Facebook can catch them, that's great. I hope other platforms follow along. There was actually slightly related, tangentially related. There was a court decision that came down that said that YouTube does not fall under the First Amendment as far as contributor protections go. It was PragerU who made a First Amendment claim against YouTube, and the judge came back and said, no, YouTube's a private entity. They aren't covered by the First Amendment. If they choose to not put something up there, then they don't have to, which will get interesting to see how that plays out. It will get very interesting because you could see a change in online speech, but you could also see some competition spring up. So if YouTube shuts enough people down and they decide to put their own platform together, you could see a competitor spring up, because really right now there's not much competition for YouTube. There are people who try, but nobody's got the size and scope and pockets that Google or Alphabet has. So it'll be interesting to watch. But Facebook has banned deepfake videos, and it will be interesting to watch how other platforms do that, whether Twitter or YouTube or anybody else follow along with that. But Facebook did have one exception, and that was for satire. So if it's pretty clear that it's done with satire in mind, then Facebook should allow it. GTF says, Defensible, I'm a 45-year-old man. I have a question for you. I was browsing the internets looking for a solution to my slow PC, and I came across this website. Download more RAM. So I did what anyone else would do, and I downloaded it. Now my PC is telling me to buy iTunes gift cards. I don't even have an iTunes. What do I do? GTF, I know you're coming in to bring some humor to us, and I appreciate that. But man, that stuff happens. That really does happen. First off, RAM is a hardware component and not a software component. You cannot download RAM. That's point number one. Point number two, took me eons to type that out. I believe it. It's probably worse if you're on mobile. But yeah, so don't download RAM. That's not good for you. If you get to a point where it's telling you have to buy iTunes gift cards and you're not sure what's going on, find a computer professional to help you get that cleaned up, because you have definitely been infected, and there's a good chance that sensitive information has been compromised. So you'll want to watch out and make sure that you're not losing access to your bank accounts. Once you've got your computer cleaned up, or before then, turn off your computer, get on another device that hasn't been compromised, and make sure you change all of the passwords for your sensitive information. Anything that you can think of, banking, email, your social benefits, whatever those happen to be, your taxes, take care of all of those passwords, and where available, turn on multi-factor authentication, sometimes called two-factor authentication, but multi-factor authentication. I still appreciate the fact that Twitch requires streamers to use multi-factor authentication to help protect their accounts. So that's what you need to do. Well done, GTF. And the conclusion here is, of this article, the only solution is education. So us talking about it here, reading these articles, talking to your friends, letting them know, hey, there are bad people out there who want to do nothing more than make life miserable. But then we get to, okay, great, you've told me that all of these bots are out there doing these bad things, but how do I know what's real and what's not? That is a fine question you ask right there. So for that, we need to go over to the factory floor where we make the bots. So the chat's going to look terrible on there, isn't it? That white text on that light background. Well, we'll be all right. Nobody reads that anyway, right? So that brings us to our second article for the evening. Hashtag BotSpot. And I've finally given up. For a while, I was old enough, I'm like, nah, it's not a hashtag. We're going to call it a £. Or if you want to get really technical, it's called an octothorpe. And I'll even put that in chat so that you all know what that is. How to spell it. Octothorpe. For the nerds among you, or the word nerds. So yeah, hashtag BotSpot. 12 ways to spot a bot. It's really important if you're going to go into whatever you're going to go into, whatever cause you're interested in, if it's even slightly controversial, there's going to be opposition that you're going to face. There it is. Yep. Yeah. If you're watching in the Twitch client or web page or whatever, should be able to see it. Just the video will look a little funky. I'm actually may just turn that off because it will look funky. All right. So we've turned the chat off on the screen. Get a better picture of those beautiful robots. Those are beautiful Tesla robots. And since we're talking about building bots out here, or spotting bots, you can spot them. There's one there. There's one there. All right, so how do you spot a bot? Here's 12 ways that you can spot bots. And these, again, if you've been around for more than a minute, some of these will be real obvious. Some of these are better than others, though. GTF, what's going on? I played the first one. I played the first Deus Ex. I did not play any of the others. I don't remember. I think the first one was just called Deus Ex. All right, GTF, here's your shot. I won't do that rap. What's your opinion on the future? Do we have augmented limbs? I love the idea, particularly for, I don't even know what the right term is anymore. Don't sue me, please. But re-enabling people who have some limited or lost functionality. It's always a possibility. Towards the end of the game, is that what happens? I think you're okay. And that one's bad guys are hacking people. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Any system that man can create, man will try and subvert, right? So it doesn't surprise me that that would be the case. And yeah, you're fine. I think the statute of limitations on spoilers for Human Revolution or Become Human. No, it was Detroit. I think that you're fine. So yeah, I like the idea, again, of enabling people, whether that's to re-enable or to augment and make us a little bigger, a little faster, a little stronger. It's not going to be for everybody, and that's okay too. Some people want to stay as they are. I still, to this day, would probably take a jack in the back of my head and plug straight in if I could. We're not quite there just yet, but I've been reading about that stuff for years and years. And then, of course, you run that risk of getting hacked and losing control. So I don't know. All right, so how do you spot a bot? Point number one, easy peasy, activity. Bots are machines or software that run on machines, right? So if a bot or if a Twitter account is posting, I don't know, every 10 minutes, 24 hours a day, do you think you could do that? I could probably do it for one day, and then after that I got to sleep, right? And I have to take a break. Bots don't need to sleep. If it's even faster than that, the other thing you can look at is when they were created versus how many tweets they've put out. I'm just picking on Twitter here, or how many posts they've made. So if a bot was created, let's see, I created my Twitter account for me personally 7-8 months ago, and I probably have 150, 200 tweets. If a bot was created a month ago and it has 200,000 tweets, is it along the same lines, GTF? Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there, a lot of sci-fi, whether it's animated or in book form or whatever, where I think good sci-fi explores the philosophical questions of the future that we're not quite ready for yet. So I think that's what makes it good, if that's fair. Where was I? Let's see. How are bots effective manipulating public opinion? Are they at all effective at that? Yes and yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, I always mess up your name too. I'm going to make sure I say it right the first time. Crepuscular A. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. So yes, bots are effective if you're not aware of their influence. So if somebody, let's say, 3 degrees removed from you, what I mean by that is you have a friend and then they have a friend, okay? If they are not paying attention and pick up some information that's posted by a bot and they tell your friend and convince your friend that it's the truth, and then your friend comes and tells you about it, that may then influence your decision, whatever the decision that happens to be, that it might be true because you heard it from somebody that you trust. And it only takes one instance for that trust cycle to begin, which is kind of why it's so effective. But yeah, they can get in, and if they have, if there's polling online or voting competition or whatnot, you can use bots to influence those results. If they, let's see, political campaigns. I don't know if you guys get many phone calls from political campaigns. I get a few. I'm glad it's only a few. I know some people that I work with who get a whole lot more than I do. Part of it depends on party affiliation. I won't tell you which party I'm involved with, but it's not one of the big 2. So I get a whole lot fewer. But if you're in one of the big 2 in the U.S., you're probably getting a whole lot of calls recently. Or if your state is coming up for one of their, if you're, let's say, a Super Tuesday state, you're probably going to start getting a whole lot of calls coming up because we're just under a week from Super Tuesday. If you live in South Carolina, you're probably getting flooded right now. Vote for us on Saturday. So yeah, but yes, bots are very accepted. What's the word I'm looking for? Effective, that's the word I'm looking for. I'm highly skeptical of information unless it comes from several credible sources. I like to cross-check all of my sources. So you're way ahead of the game then. Because I don't want to say most people, because that's like, 76% of all statistics are made up on the spot, just like that one. But many people do not bother cross-checking. They pick their one source and whatever that source says. And it's kind of terrifying because if it's CNN, it's got a slant one way. If it's Fox News, it's got a slant another way. And if it's Facebook, man, you never know what you're going to get. I don't trust most folks to be able to spot bots. Most people can't spot satire. That's fair, Josh. A lot of people tend to be very literal or just can't be bothered. I've noticed that as well. It kind of terrifies me. This statement is false. Yes, thank you, GTF. Yeah, the following statement is true. The previous statement is false. Yeah, weed out the bots. Scare them off. I appreciate that. So activity is your number one. Look at somebody's activity. If you see that before you engage, the first rule is don't feed the trolls, right? So if you're considering engaging with somebody online in particular, check out their account. There's some more about that in a minute, but activity will tell you a lot. Again, in 7 months, I've probably tweeted 200 times. If you find an account where it's a month old and it's tweeted 200,000 times, it's probably a bot. So that one's not too bad. Anonymity. I'm going to read this one because this one was worth reading. A second key indicator is the degree of anonymity an account shows. In general, the less personal information it gives, the more likely it is to be a bot. I'm not going to drop the name on this one from this article. You can look it up when I post the link for you. But this account, for example, has an image of the cathedral in Florence as its avatar picture, an incomplete population graph as its background, and an anonymous handle and screen name. The only unique features are linked to a US-based political action committee. This is nowhere near enough to provide an identification. Now, that's not always the case. You have to be careful about that. I intentionally do not share all of my personal information because I value my privacy. However, you're here watching me so you can see I'm actually a real person. Or am I? I could be a very good fake video, but no, I'm not. So the amount of information within a profile, a lot of times bots will use, well, I'm probably going to get ahead of myself again, but that's okay. Will use pictures of people that they find on the internet. And if you grab those pictures and do a reverse image search, you can find, it's either from a stock photos collection or a somewhat famous model. Got to make like a tree and split. I got to be with 6 tomorrow, so I'll force you to do at least 20. Nice. Let's get some GTF. We'll see you in the morning. Thanks for being here, friend. I do appreciate you. And I look forward to getting those 20 push-ups in the morning. So yeah, anonymity is not a tell-all. You have to be very careful of that. If you look at my profile on Twitter, it says my website, which you can go to, and then you can find some more information there, which points you right back here to Twitch. And I've set up an email account specifically for this purpose. So I won't say I've completely compartmentalized, but I try and compartmentalize different sections of my life. I have, 13, 14 different email accounts because I do try and do things separately. You were duped when you were 11. I was sure aliens had visited the Earth because an individual saying this was a professor. Oh boy. You know what? If that's what it took, and at that age, that's not a terrible thing. That is not a terrible thing. You should probably actually send a thank you card to that professor for opening your eyes to who we trust and what we trust them about, right? So the third point is amplification. Amplification is an interesting one because that's what we all want on social media, isn't it? We want to put our message out and have it multiply so that we get the attention. At least that's how I see most people operating on social media. If you look at, Instagram, which I'm still torn about. Oh no, he's still out there spreading information, so no, okay. Yikes. That's, I'm not even sure how to deal with that one. I'll just leave that to you then. No naming and shaming, right? But, good grief. Oh, yikes. So amplification. If a bot that doesn't have, let's say, a whole lot of followers on Twitter puts out a tweet, and all of a sudden they get 60, 70, 100, 200, 1,000 retweets, you might want to suspect that something is going on. Now, it may have just been good timing, because sometimes social media is like that, right? Something goes viral, and you're like, why? I don't even understand. But I put out a tweet before this show went up, before we went live this evening, and I think I got 3 retweets and 1 like, and I was thrilled. I'm very happy with that. But not the kind of amplification that I necessarily would love to have, right? I'd love to have 10,000 people in here listen to me talk about cybersecurity, but we're not there yet. One day we're going to get it. But so if a relatively small account is all of a sudden getting a lot of attention, you can pretty safely guess that they're associated with some kind of a bot network. So that is a third factor that you can look at when you're considering, is this a bot, is this not a bot? Especially if it's something super controversial. If it's... Yes, no, absolutely. No, these are points for people who care. To convince let's say my mother to do this kind of work, it's just not going to happen. But this is for people who care. So that's really the secret, right? If you care enough to chase it down 1 or 2 steps, then 3 or 12 isn't as big a deal. And then you can help inform other people and go, yeah, no, I looked that one up. It's completely bogus. You don't want to trust that. We don't have the resources, let's say, of, the National Security Agency here in the U.S. to go and trace down where somebody might actually be located. And I don't really care to. I'm not looking to identify the individual. I'm looking to identify for my personal consumption, for my friends and my family, and for you, my friends here on Twitch, trying to identify that it's just fake or that it, might be more real. So number 4, low posts, high results. We kind of talked about this with amplification, but it says the bots achieve their effect by massive amplification of content by a single account. Another way to achieve the same effect is to create a large number of accounts which retweet the same post once each. A botnet. So rather than getting full reactions, they're just retweeting it, hoping that other people will pick it up, spreading it as quickly as possible. It's very akin to wildfire. I don't know if you've ever seen a wildfire. This past year we watched some of the fires out of Australia. Those were terrifying. Did y'all see any of those videos? How fast that really moves? A lot of times when you see a wildfire, it's moving across a large open area. But as it gets close to structures and you can start to put a scale to things, like I know how big a house is or how big a car is. So seeing it sweep across an area with something that I can put in perspective, it's crazy how fast that stuff actually moves. So it's the same idea here. And, well, I should just read because they've done a good job with this. Such botnets can be quickly identified when they are used to amplify a single post if the account which made the post is not normally active. That's the other thing too. If it's a bot account that doesn't post a whole lot and then all of a sudden it's getting this huge reaction, that can be a giveaway as well, that something funny is going on. And there's several examples given, and again, I won't read through all of these for you because reading on stream is kind of boring for me and for you. Number 5, this is a good one though. Common content. If you're starting to see a pattern, everybody's sort of saying the same things, but this does happen in real life too. I want to be careful that we qualify that. But a key word or a phrase or a hashtag that sort of comes out of nowhere and then is suddenly everywhere. Now we do have a cognitive bias, and I wish I could remember what it was called, but I never noticed small black sedans until I bought one, right? Once I bought one, then they were everywhere, and I don't know why that happened. Or you learn a new word that you've never heard before, and all of a sudden that word is in 3 different conversations that day. So we do have a bias towards that we have to be mindful of. But sometimes it is, it really is evidence. Yeah, that happens a lot. I know it does for me, 100%. I'm human too. So I'll learn a new word and I'll hear it in conversation. I'm like, who says that? Nobody. I've never heard this word before, and now I'm hearing it all over the place. One that comes to mind as a real life example, and I don't know if y'all remember this or not, when George W. Bush was elected to president, or was running for president, it was right in that time frame. The word gravitas came up, and I'm like, gravitas? What are you talking about? Well, all of a sudden, every single news channel that didn't want him was talking about how he lacked gravitas, and every single news program that was supporting him mentioned that he did have gravitas. And it's like, guys, really? This is a word we're going to bring into the lexicon all of a sudden? And it was obviously coordinated. There were some talking points that were spread by probably 1, maybe 2 sources to these news organizations. We're not even talking about bots and social media at this point, but you get the idea, I think. Same thing can happen on social media with the bot networks. An idea will be presented, and all of a sudden it's everywhere. And when I say social media, I'm not even talking about necessarily everything that you normally think about. Twitch is social media. Reddit is social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. My wife is trying to figure out Pinterest, and it's a learning bias or attention bias in a way. Yeah, very much so, unless it's being directed intentionally, right? Sometimes there are actors out there, whether they are government or private sponsored, who are intentionally trying to push a message, and that's kind of where we're winding up. A lot of the election interference from 2016 in the U.S. presidential election was not so much hacking voting machines. Matter of fact, I don't think there's been any evidence of hacked voting machines from the 2016 election at all. Some evidence of voter fraud, but that's a different issue. That's within our own borders. That's not necessarily outside interference. But that's neither here nor there. But the election interference that we get worked up about is, let's say, the Russian government doing these misinformation, doing these disinformation campaigns to try and sway voters. And they will put things, there was some of the Hillary for jail stuff was being driven by Russian actors. Now, not all of it, I'm not saying all of it. I think even Trump said those words, or lock her up or whatever. But once that kernel was there, these outside agents took that idea and they promoted it in certain regions and didn't promote it as heavily in other regions because they were promoting a different message. And again, they were just trying to cause division, not necessarily to set any particular candidate up to win or to lose, but to try and foment discontent, to bring division amongst peoples and people groups. And whether that is politically motivated, racially motivated, economically motivated, regionally motivated, you know, I don't live on the California coast, so those guys over there, they're crazy, and I don't want anything to do with them. Well, okay, they're still Americans. America, right? Best country in the nation. I gotta stop cracking myself up with my own jokes. But whatever that dividing line they can find, if they can, divide and conquer, 100%. No, very much so. Now, the other side of things, of course, is we get all worked up about, the Russians trying to interfere with our elections. It's not like America doesn't do that as well. For years and years, we have been attempting and succeeding at influencing the political processes of other countries. So it's just part of political life. That's part of the geopolitical scene. So if you understand that, Queen Sugar Buns. Sometimes the best jokes are the ones that I'm the only one laughing at because I just made myself that happy. Which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do enjoy those. So common content, if you see something and it's like out of the blue and you're like, where is this coming from? And then it's really just everywhere. And you could say, okay, it's not just an attention bias. America is way more overt about our meddling. Yeah, it's tough to argue with that, Josh. Oh, thank you, Crepuscular. I appreciate that. But yeah, Josh, I'm going to have to agree with you that we tend not to hide it when we do that kind of thing. Well, not all the time anyways, right? Depending on the administration that's in office at the time, we are sometimes more subtle and sometimes less subtle. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Again, I don't want to get too political. That's really not the point. But yeah, depending on which administration and how they approach their foreign policy, sometimes it's more obvious and sometimes it's a good deal less obvious. Yeah, okay. But not with Trump. Trump, man, is just out there on Twitter. You know what he thinks. I promised I wouldn't do that and I still did it. All right, so after we talk about common content, point number 6 was the secret society of silhouettes. This one is interesting. Let me read this. The most primitive bots are especially easy to identify because their creators have not bothered to upload an avatar image of them. Once called eggs, because the little egg icon that you start out with on Twitter, right? From the days when the screen image for an account was an avatar on an egg, they now resemble silhouettes. Some users have silhouettes on their accounts for entirely innocuous reasons because they don't know how to change them maybe. But thus the presence of a silhouette on its own is not an indicator of botness. However, if the list of accounts which retweet or like a post looks like this, so if it's a silhouette that's being retweeted constantly and liked constantly, and again, this article mostly focuses on Twitter, so that's where we're going to keep much of our focus, but you get the idea. If it's constantly getting reactions from other silhouettes and almost exclusively silhouettes, that can be a very good indication that it is a bot account. And this does have a bunch of screenshots, this article. I took them out for the purposes of printing because it was going to be like 22 pages or something like that. I got it down to 9. But yeah, there's a lot of really good screenshots that it gives really good examples, solid examples. Here we are, yes. Stolen or shared photo. Other bot makers are meticulous and try to mask their anonymity by taking photos from other sources. So they'll scrape Google Images, they'll scrape Instagram, they'll scrape other social media platforms and take somebody else's picture to put onto that onto that account so it looks a little less bot-like. Now, which is not a terrible way to do it, right? If you put up a picture of a person that I've never met, how do I know if that's them or not? So you have to be mindful of that, and if you start to see the same image, well, that can be a pretty good giveaway, right? It's always interesting when they try and steal images of celebrities. I'm like, no. I don't really think you look like John Lebowitz. There it is. I knew I'd get there. Tied to that, point number 8 is what's in a name. So the bot's name. How many times have you seen bots? Let's see, I'm getting ahead of chat here. Or getting behind chat. What will happen when bots become indistinguishable from humans? Some of the lessons you've given could still be applied for sure. Yeah, no, very much so. We may get to the point where we just don't trust anything anymore. Hopefully that's not the case. If you're not speaking to me face to face, then I'm not going to believe it. And even then I have to be skeptical, right? That's a tough call. Did I miss something about Snowden? Regarding Snowden, in my mind, he's not a hero by any means. There are formal channels he could have gone through. The Inspector General are running through the issues could have been brought to light. Instead, he thumb drived it, skipped country, and played a victim/martyr role. Yeah, that touches onto a somewhat political situation, right? The whole Ed Snowden thing is still very sensitive for depending on your perspective. Okay, very political. Yeah, all right, that's fair. Because people have differing opinions. People really do. And it's tough to find, by the letter of the law, it's certainly one way. But there's some argument that he's, a modern day Robin Hood. So I don't know. I think we'll leave it at that. I appreciate the thoughts and the concerns. But yeah, let's let her go. So bot names. Have you ever been in a Twitch chat and seen like A01678823? I have. I'm like, there's no way you're a real person. Since we're on Twitch, we can pick on Twitch, right? There are bots on Twitch. We know there are bots. There are good bots. Like I said, I use, it's the Streamlabs chat bot. It's called DefensibleBot on this channel. And it recently posted a helpful link to the Discord, which everyone is welcome to join. But there are other bots on channel. Both there's view bots that people use to try and get their viewing numbers up. I don't use those. I don't think it's worth it. Because if you get caught out, then you're going to lose whatever you tried to gain anyhow. There was a while there were subscription bots. That was the weirdest thing. I was in a channel watching a streamer, and all of a sudden he got like 200 Twitch Prime subs in a row, and it was just like, what is going on? And then he realized it was bots doing it. It's like, because that was a thing for a while. Okay. So there's chat bots, there's view bots, there's follow bots, all kinds of crazy stuff out there that if you're trying to do it legitimately, you're not going to engage intentionally. Sometimes it just happens. I've read stories where people are like, I'm a small streamer, and all of a sudden I got botted and had 200 new followers. I hope Twitch doesn't get mad at me. And for the most part, if they find that you're not doing it, my understanding is they don't get mad at you. They know it's not your fault. Many times it is people testing out things that they are building on another channel. So if that were to happen right here, it would probably be somebody who has built this and is testing it on me because they don't want to get in trouble if it gets caught. Which is kind of awful. But not only that, there are other things as well. Now, it's 2020. Don't get upset with me. I'm just telling you what the article says. If how hard is it to build a botnet? There are kits that you can pay for, basically, with all the resources that people have already done all the hard work. I'm not recommending it. It is an interesting experiment, but yeah, not recommending that you do anything nefarious with it. But honestly, not that difficult. The websites that you can go to, and it's all set up, and you type in whatever information you want it to do, and you pay them some money, either in cryptocurrency or even PayPal, because it's semi-legitimate business, because they're software developers. So they'll take PayPal or whatever, and then you have access to a bot. You're a bot wrangler at that point. No, I'm not linking it in chat. No, you have to do your own work on that. I have played with bots before in a sandbox environment just to see what would happen. Yeah, thank you. Probably got a Twitch employee in here going, what are they doing? Queen Sugar Buns, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, absolutely. Good night, my friend. Thank you again for being here, and we'll catch you when you're streaming next. So yeah, no, if you want to play with it in a controlled environment to see how it works, to get a better idea of what's going on, I love that emote too. That's pretty great. You know what, just for fun here, let me see, this should work. There it is. Do check out Queen Sugar Buns, and it's a fun stream. I'm just going to say that. No spoilers. So, 2020, don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you what the article says, right? So if it's a picture of a woman and it's got a man's name, you may want to question. I'm not saying that means it's a bot. I'm saying that you may want to question. It is one piece of many. If it has a man's picture and a woman's name, you may want to question. But again, 2020, I don't care. You do you. But the point is, the bots will sometimes do this because they don't care. They're just scraping pictures and like, oh, hey, that's a picture I've never used before. Put it up on the profile. Sometimes the handle that's used will be a name that isn't the same name as the profile name. So let's say the profile name is John Smith and the handle is Joe Jones. It could be an indicator. Not necessarily, because mine is DefensibleRisk. That's really not my name. So you get the idea, though. A lot of times on Twitter or other places, you'll have a handle, Twitter handle that does not match the person's name. That does not mean anything necessarily. But if it's two names that look like they're real names, that may mean something. So be mindful of that. On platforms where you're supposed to use your real name, like Facebook, you all use your real name on Facebook if you're on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, so I don't have this issue. But you use your real names, right? Because that's Twitter's policy, or Facebook's policy. Maybe you do. Some people do, some people don't. So something to be mindful of. Sometimes when the names don't match. Oh, here was my personal favorite. And I loved this one. Number 9. You do? All right. Good for you. Again, I like my privacy a little more than that, so I don't have Facebook at all, which is one of the big hesitations for me with the whole Instagram thing. Yeah, on Facebook. I don't think Crepuscular is your name. If you did, you probably need to have a talk with your parents. Again, cracking myself up. So number 9, Twitter of Babel. If you're familiar with the old story, or from the story from the Bible, they were building this tower, and they all spoke the same language, and God got mad because they were building the tower and split them up and changed all their languages. Even no pictures or anything on Facebook, just a name, that's it. All right, fair. Yeah, I mean, Facebook tracks you across the internet whether you have a profile or not, so it's tough to avoid. Oh, Josh, what are we going to do with you? I will not be reading that. I'm kind of glad I turned the chat off on screen here. So if you're in chat, you can see that. Yeah, T says got it. All right, so the Twitter of Babel. I speak English, I believe, reasonably well. I used to speak German ein bisschen. My Spanish, un poquito. Anybody fluent in 3 or more languages? I'm curious in chat. Anybody fluent in 3 or more languages? 2 languages is not terribly uncommon. I'm not fluent in 2 languages, so it's more uncommon than me, but it's not terribly uncommon. One of the guys I work with is fluent in English, fluent in Spanish. And that's cool. I'm actually kind of a little envious of that. Not fluent, just 2-ish. All right, fair. I speak nerd. Does that count? And Klingon does count. I don't care. Klingon or Tolkien Elvish is okay too. But yeah, a lot of us don't speak more than 2 languages. Some of us speak, maybe 2. But a lot of us, bots, they're computer programs, right? So if you find a bot or if you find an account, you understand where you speak a Spanish, fair. Wookiee is a bit of a stretch. Klingon, absolutely, Josh. So if you see an account that fluently speaks Spanish, Arabic, Swahili, Indonesian, Chinese, Russian, and Japanese, you might just be dealing with a bot. In your 20s, just so you know, but back in the day, Facebook was growing fast. I refused to join because of privacy. Then I forgot about that and gave in, right? I have had a Facebook account in the past. I won't lie. I did it for 18 months, 2 years. I just got tired of it too. Honestly, the whole, the vibe, I guess that's the old man word, right? The whole feeling, I just nah, I'm kind of done. I went through and deleted all of my stuff and closed my account, and I know it's still out there even if I did delete it and close my account. I know I'm still in their databases. But yeah, I just gave up on it. Wow, T-Sai, look at you. One of those early founding members out there on Facebook. That's crazy. Do you still like it? And do you run across many bots? (2005-ish). Wow. That's crazy. That's pretty wild. So yeah, you got one of those really low account numbers too. That's pretty cool. So yeah, if you find an account that fluently speaks multiple languages and maybe even switches regularly, it's probably a bot. Again, not necessarily. Sometimes the Twitter accounts are shared or other accounts are shared, right? So you could have 2 or 3 people working in an office who operate an account for a business, and they have different language skills. So it's not necessarily a giveaway, but a lot of times it is. And then I love it on here when it mentions Swahili, it says according to Google Translate. So it's not necessarily a native Swahili speaker who's typing on the computer, but running it through something like Google Translate to get that message out there. Let's see, I think I know 4 or 5 words or phrases in Swahili. There's just so much information about those. It's basically too late. Yeah. No, that's kind of, you can try and take some of that back, but Google doesn't forget, right? So yeah, I know 4 or 5 words or phrases in Swahili, and some of them I won't say in polite company. I was a young man when I learned those things, and those were important at the time. But everybody's personal favorite, right? Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. All right, so that's number 9. Let's get to number 10. We got 3 more to go here. Mephistopheles coming in. Knew a guy learned to say pull my finger in like 26 languages, I swear. That's too funny. I had a teacher, well, it wasn't my teacher, it was a teacher I knew from high school who said you only need to learn 2 things in any language. It'll get you through any travel experience that you have, as long as you know these 2 phrases. Number 1, where's the bathroom? Number 2, I love you. And that's stuck with me. And so I've tried to pick that up. Don't have much call to use the second one, but I definitely need to know where the restroom is at times. Pull my finger. I do love Twitch chat. I really do. Y'all are amazing. I learn things from you every day. All right, number 10, commercial content. So not all bots, of course, are aimed at disinformation or misinformation. Some of them are built purely to advertise a business. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it helps to be able to identify them, right? So advertising indeed is a classic indicator of botnets. As noted above, some botnets appear to exist primarily for that purpose, only occasionally venturing into politics. And when they do, their focus on advertising often betrays them. So looking at post history can be another way. So you get some controversial post and you're like, what the heck is this? And why is it blowing up all of a sudden? You go back to the post history and you can see it. It's mostly advertising kind of posts in the previous history. That can be a pretty good giveaway that it's been a bot. Again, it could be somebody's small business and that's just what they're doing. So it's not a dead giveaway. But when you combine multiples, if you can get to, I think the article said 8 or 9 indicators, you can have a really solid understanding. If you get to 8 or 9 out of these 12. So number 10 being commercial content. Number 11, automation software. Again, not in itself a dead giveaway. Tailwinds. My wife is telling me about Tailwinds, and it's for an automation software for posting to Pinterest and to Instagram. And she's using it now, and that's great. I'm thrilled for her because you can queue things up, and then it's supposed to be able to post it like whatever they find to be the optimal times to get your message out there. But if you see a lot of automation software, it could be a sign. Very relevant if you follow hashtags on Twitter, for example. 100%. No, very much so. In automation software, my company has social media, right? We use social media to interact with our patients, guests, clients, customers, whatever that happens to be, because I don't disclose who I work for. So it's one of those categories that my company deals with. And we use social media to do that and to advertise our business. We use social media a lot. We actually have 2 or 3 people, that's basically their only job. We use automation software to do much of that. Now, not direct replies. If a patient, customer, guest, client sends something in to us, and let's say a direct message, then we have a real person who will respond back and not using automation. But as far as posting and stuff, regular posting goes, it's so much easier. My wife doesn't want to be up in the middle of the night to hit the post button, so she uses this automation software to do it. So again, it's not a giveaway kind of indicator, but when you combine it with other indicators, automation software certainly can be. What was the one? TweetDeck was super popular. Does TweetDeck still exist anymore? Thank you, Tisai. I appreciate the lurk, and I appreciate you being here and hanging out. Enjoy your movie. And I've been still watching for your streams. We can do that too. I know it fired when you first got here, but I appreciate you. Thanks so much. And thank you again for the biddies. I appreciate it. And so not only automation software for automatic posting, but also Tremlin. What's going on, my friend? It's been a minute. How you been? We're out here talking about cybersecurity night. This is my day job. And tripping the dad bot too. I love it. Nice. What are we writing about? So not only automation software for posting, but also URL shorteners. Now, if you put a link into Twitter, it automatically shortens it. Operation security. Nice. Very nice. That's the good stuff right there. Anything in particular or just the subject in general? So yeah, URL shorteners, if somebody's posting a link that doesn't need to be shortened necessarily, but it has been shortened, it may be a sign. Policies, procedures, roles, and responsibilities. Oh, the good stuff. The sexy part of security. No arguments there. I spend way too much of my time doing just that. So yeah, fair enough. But you gotta have this, it's super important. It really is super important to have all of those things in place before something happens. And then, one of the big things when you get into the corporate world is if you've got a policy, you got to be following it. Because if you've got a policy in place and you get, let's say, sued, and they go, do you have a policy? We say, yes, we have a policy. Oh, that's great. Were you following it when this incident took place? And you go, well, and they go, yeah, no, you're in the wrong. Doesn't matter. Glad you had policy. You need to be following it. A lot of compliance requirements are like that too, where it says you have to have a policy and you have to be following it. We're not going to tell you what the policy has to say, but you have to be following whatever policy you have on file. So yeah, that's the good stuff. Blue team's not particularly sexy, and policy is even worse. Nice. So yeah, you're learning all about that good stuff then. Knee deep in it now. Well, congratulations on the promotion. And yeah, oof. Welcome to my world. I think that's how the song goes. All right, so point number 12, retweets and likes. A final indicator that a botnet is at work can be gathered by comparing the retweets and likes of a particular post. Some bots are programmed to both retweet and like the same tweet. In such cases, the number of retweets and likes will be almost identical. Watch for that. So if it's got 20 retweets and 20 likes, okay. If it's got 2,000 retweets and 2,000 likes, there's a chance that it's definitely involved in some kind of bot activity. And again, not necessarily a terrible thing, not necessarily a firm giveaway. Crepuscular, my best practical tip on how to avoid being duped on Twitter is to stay away from hashtags. Fair? Okay, that's fair. Yeah, you know, some hashtags are worth it and some are just, but yeah, where you get into the trending, a lot of times that stuff is really bot driven. Yeah, a lot of those trending tweets or a lot of those trending hashtags, sometimes it's organic, sometimes it's real, many times, yeah, unless you know what you're doing. There you go. I mean, the other way is, you know, just avoid Twitter. I can't seem to, but if you could avoid social media altogether, you might be in a happier place. There was an article I read about that. They did a study where they basically took people away from social media for 30 days or something like that. And they came back like, I like life a whole lot better. There's so much negativity out there that we just don't need, right? And it does get amplified. And if it's an intentional campaign to be negative, it's even worse. So, looking at the retweets, if it's got 5 retweets and 2 likes, it's probably not botted, right? That's kind of what my tweets tend to look like, you know, on a good day. If it's got, again, 2,000 retweets and 1,990 likes, that's still pretty suspicious. You know, what you probably had is a couple of stray retweets in there that that weren't done by bots, somebody else retweeting them. But there's a lot of bots on there. Heck, on my tweets, I actually @ 3 retweet bots intentionally to try and spread the message, because that's what you got to do to get the word out there, right? So it is what it is, but not a bot. Sorry, guys. So let me run through these real quick. We'll just run down these 12 real quick, and then we'll take any questions. So if you have any questions, be thinking about them. Fire away in chat. I love questions. Happy to answer them the best I can. If I don't know, I don't mind telling you I don't know. So number 1, activity. If it's hyperactive or if it's silent for a long time and then becomes very active, that can be an indicator. Number 2, anonymity. If it looks like they've either put very little effort into creating the profile for the account or it just looks suspicious, that can be an indicator. And again, no one by itself will give away the answer here. You put a number of these together and it's, you know, the more you have, the more likely it is actually a bot. Number 3, amplification. So if it's getting a lot of noise and you can't quite figure out why, it may be bots working together to amplify the message for whatever purpose they're trying to achieve. Number 4, low posts, high results. If the account has, you know, 4 or 5 total posts in its lifetime, but it's getting thousands of retweets and likes, pretty good indication that something is fishy about it. That one's pretty strong, actually. I would almost say that could count for 2. Number 5, common content. If you see a lot of the same content coming out of a series of accounts, I'm not talking about retweets, but, you know, quote unquote fresh tweets or original content, but it all looks very similar, especially keywords, that can be an indicator of bot activity. Number 6, the secret society of silhouettes, or it used to be eggs, but silhouettes, where it's accounts without profile pictures with limited information. Again, not quite the same as the anonymity, but and it's being amplified by other silhouette accounts. That can be a giveaway. Number 7, stolen or shared photo. You may not know, right? It's tough to say. If it's obviously a celebrity and it's not the celebrity and it's not a celebrity satire account, what was that one? The Drumpf account, right? There's a lot of satire accounts out there, and they will use the person's photo. Not quite the same thing, but if it's, you can many times take that image, do a reverse image lookup, and find that it's a stock photo or somebody who posts regularly on social media, and their face is everywhere, and so they've just grabbed this image and plastered it on there. Or if it's used by a bunch of different Twitter accounts, that can be a giveaway as well. Number 8, bots in a name. Looking for a series of numbers or letters that don't necessarily mean anything. If, again, 2020, don't sue me, but if it's you know, a male name with a female picture or a female name with a male picture, that can be an indication that they're just putting things together programmatically to create these accounts. I'm going to cough. Give me just a second here. Thank you for your patience. That would have been bad on the microphone and hard on your ears. So names can be a giveaway. Be mindful of that. Look at the account. And again, if the name is, you know, again on Twitter, let's say the profile name is John Smith and the handle is @JoeJones. They're like two real names, but they don't match each other. That can be an indicator. Not necessarily a giveaway, but one more piece of the puzzle that can help you decide whether it's a bot or not. Number 9, Twitter of Babel. If this account speaks tons and tons of languages fluently and they're not a professor of languages, there's a good chance that it's being run by a program. Now again, not a giveaway, because you could have a company out there that is intentionally using Google Translate to communicate with their customer, guest, patient, client, whatever it is, in their own native language. And it won't be perfect, but it will be multiple languages. So, but if you see them just regularly tweeting out in different languages, it certainly can be a sign. Number 10, commercial content, especially if it's not necessarily political all the time. If they do a lot of commercial content, it's probably tied to some advertising network that is trying to get their message out there. And then if it switches then to political content, especially, it's been repurposed, that can be a pretty solid indicator that it's a bot. Number 11, automation software. Again, one more time, if you're using TweetDeck or Hootsuite, or I don't know what even works anymore, I don't use any of them myself. If you're using Tailwinds for Pinterest or Instagram, there was one, I can never remember what it's called. There's several of them that will post to Facebook for you. Automation software in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be, when it's used, let me clarify that. It can be an indicator when it's used with some of these other signs. And then number 12, get this last page on here, retweets and likes. The idea being, if it's very similar with the number of retweets and the number of likes, it could be in a bot network that is trying to amplify that message by giving it an equivalent number of likes and retweets. Seems, yeah, because it's, I guess, easy enough to do through the APIs, that botnet builders will build out that functionality. So you can look at a tweet and go, that looks really sketchy. Now if it's got, 5,000 retweets and 2,000 likes, or reverse those numbers, not necessarily a good indicator. But if it's 5,000 and 5,000, especially if it's a nice round number like 5,000, that could certainly be a giveaway, or again, a piece of the puzzle that will tell you what's going on. So those are our 12 points, our 12 indicators that we might be looking at a bot on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or what have you. Not all of them come across that way. Some of them, let's see, on Facebook my wife calls them creepers. Sometimes it's just people who want to connect because they want to connect, but isn't it possible to build something that can, to some degree, detect the pattern of most bots? If the bots are following a pattern, yes, absolutely. All of this stuff is detectable, which is why it's a cat and mouse game, because Twitter doesn't want all of these bots out there, especially ones that are spreading misinformation or disinformation. Twitter in and of itself tries to be a really solid platform, right? They're so large though they can't police everything. So they do try and build detection tools and shut down those bot accounts. So as a private person, yeah, you could probably do some of that as well. It might be easier to do offline, but it's a cat and mouse game. You know, I build a bot and I put it out on the online. You know, I put it online, whatever platform I'm choosing, and I'm trying not to get caught. The platform comes along and builds detection tools to catch me. So once I'm caught and my account goes away and I want to get back out there, I have to figure out a new technique. So it's a constant back and forth between the bot builders and the platform owners, operators, to catch and not get caught. So it's a very good question. But yeah, depending on, and again, some of them are very simplistic, some of them are easy to detect, and if they start going wild, a lot of times I think there are bots that they're quiet, so the platforms don't necessarily care until they start being real noisy and stirring up issues. Yeah, so I think that covers the question. But yeah, there are ways to spot patterns. You know, a lot of things like if I say that I am in the U.S., but I'm going to pick on the Russians, a Russian IP address, that might be a pretty good indicator that I'm not telling the truth, right? Or if, what are some other examples? I don't know. It just depends, right? There are many times, yeah, many times. Yeah, many times I'm right there with you. It's just a matter of trying to get better and priorities too, right? So if somebody I'm going to continue to pick on Twitter here. If somebody has a bot that is pushing their product, that may not be as big a deal to Twitter as a bot that is pushing some divisive political position or racial position or whatever. Twitter may care more about that divisive position than somebody's small bot who tweets 3 times a day about, you know, their widget they're trying to sell. So maybe they just don't care as much about that, so they're not going to put the level of effort in to shut down every single bot. And some bots are useful. You know, they don't have a problem with retweet bots. Like I said, I @ 3 of them to try and spread the message when I'm going to go live here on Twitch. And those bots are out there. Go a little further into AI winter, Crepuscular, because there are 2 or 3 different ways that I could take that. So let me know what you're thinking there. And I'll drink some water. And then I will record that I had a glass of water. So yeah, my concern though is just, you know, if you're here listening to this, you obviously care about bots and misinformation, disinformation on the internet. It's the people who don't care and are perhaps more easily influenced by what they read online. It's on the internet, it must be true, right? Whose ad was that? Was that a Subway ad? I don't remember who put that ad together. But it was like, he's from France. He's all, bonjour. That was terrible. And bots come in all shapes and sizes. I was contacted by a bot. I should have, I don't think I have that picture. I saved it. but I think I offloaded it from my phone. Let me look real quick like here. I will not spend a lot of time looking. Yeah, I don't know where it is. I'm not going to spend any more time on that. But I was contacted on LinkedIn by this person who basically said, "Hi Daniel, I'm interested in talking to you. Let's make a connection." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, everything's great except for one thing." They didn't actually write Daniel in there. They wrote Daniel in Cyrillic characters. And if you're not familiar, Cyrillic characters are the ones that you use for the Russian language. So everything else was in English except my name. I'm like, ooh, slight misstep there. So I don't know if the Russians were trying to get in contact with me because I'm a cybersecurity leader and they wanted to try and infiltrate my organization, or if it was just a bot that was built by the Russians and did not translate my name appropriately. But it was hilarious. And then I have bots that follow me on Twitter, and I don't care. I really don't. I used to care about some of that stuff. I'd have bots that would try and connect with me on Facebook. I'm like, yep, nope, you're getting blocked. Blocked and reported. Anymore, I don't care. It's just part of life anymore, it seems, with bots on the internet. But if you can be mindful that they are out there and then start questioning information that's not coming from a trusted, reliable source, then you're going to be way better off than the average person out on the internet, which is what we hope for, right? We want to be just a little better, ideally. Let's see, basically we're not going to make computers that much smarter for the next 20 years. More computation, yes, but not smarter systems. It's tough to say. It's tough to say. We've got announcements, at least, of quantum breakthroughs. It seems every couple of weeks, somebody new is claiming quantum supremacy, whether it's Google / Alphabet or IBM or somebody else entirely. Who can say? So, is that more compute? Yes, it certainly is more compute. But with that much more compute, we may be able to do it, and we may never get to the point where AI is what we imagine it to be. Because I love my friends who work in the AI ML space right now. It's artificial intelligence, machine learning. But come on, guys, it's if then. We've been doing that for 50 years. Don't at me. It's still decision trees, boys. Call it what you want. Call it machine learning, that's fine. Call it AI, that's fine. It's still if then. And I'm going to get hate mail, but that's okay. At DefensibleRisk on Twitter, DefensibleRisk at protonmail.com. That's you can see on this background. But let's pop back over here. So I really do appreciate you all being here and hanging out tonight. I've had a really good time. I love talking about this stuff. Cybersecurity really is my passion. And on a personal note, I'm actually super excited. I got asked to speak at an IT conference. They're giving me 50 minutes. I'm like, holy cow. There are a couple of local ones where like, you can have 14 minutes and then 7 minutes for questions. I'm like, all right, cool. They're actually giving me a 50-minute slot to talk about cybersecurity. Thank you, Tremlin. Yeah, thank you, Crepuscular. I am planning on it. One of the first questions I asked was, who has the video rights? And they're like, actually, we don't film these at all. So if you want to set up a camera, you have all the rights to them. Yes. So it's at the end of April, and I am still chewing on topics. But what I'm thinking right now is, wow, Josh, thank you. You're a rock star. Sold American. Going once, going twice. We'll wait for that to fire. So yeah, I'm still chewing on topics, but what I'm really leaning towards right now is a topic being building a security culture in a customer service world. A lot of businesses out there don't have necessarily a security culture or security mindset. Josh, I don't know if I'll thank you now, and I'll thank you when it fires. There it is. Josh, thank you so very much. I appreciate you gifting a sub to Tremlin. Tremlin, welcome. I think we're going with Riskateers. So welcome to the Riskateers. I like that. That was a suggestion last week. So I think that's what we're going with. So Josh, thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. And you know what? Let's see here. There it is. Crepuscular, welcome to the Riskateers. I roped you in. You don't have a choice. How do I close this box? I now have a box over the top of my chat box and I can't see anything. You know, I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate everybody. Josh, thank you very much. You guys are awesome. So I think we're going to pull the plug for the evening. It's getting late, and I need to spend some time with my beautiful blushing bride. And but yeah, I just have a passion for it. So again, the topic, I can actually read it over here. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate the kind words. All right, so with that, we are at DefensibleRisk on Twitter, DefensibleRisk@protonmail.com. If you'd like to email me securely, I've helpfully placed those right below my smiling face. See, I'm smiling. DefensibleRisk.com for an archive of our technical and cybersecurity related content. This show will be posted tomorrow night if you want to go back and review and hear all the terrible jokes that I made and cracked myself up with. And if you're watching anywhere else, it is twitch.tv/DefensibleRisk. We also have a Discord. If I can type correctly, and I can, which everyone is welcome to join. So we'll be back tomorrow morning, 4:30 a.m. Pacific time, back to our workout programs. We do the talk show once a week on Wednesday evenings, and we do the workouts 5 days a week, 5:30 a.m. Sunday mornings Pacific time. It's all Pacific time. Monday, Tuesday, 4:30 a.m. Pacific time. Thursday, Friday, 4:30 a.m. Pacific time. And our talk shows at 6:30 p.m. Pacific on Wednesday evenings. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Tisai. Tremlin, congratulations. Crepuscular, thanks for being here. Congratulations to you as well. And we'll talk to you real soon. Until we speak again, my friends, be well, be safe. Watch out for bots.